Well, I think at this point, if you're watching this video, you probably already know, or if you haven't know, I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but the presumption that we were only going to get a partial wipe in 3.18.1 or 3.18.2 has proven to be false. It is indeed going to be a full wipe. And as proof, here is the post from Xylo explaining it. Now, of course, yes, on March 24th, he said it's only going to be partial, but sadly, it is going to be a full wipe. Persistent entity streaming has obviously caused some issues. Obviously. But if you've been around Star Citizen long enough, you know that this is to be expected. For those of you who are here for the 3.0, this is nothing new. And for those of you who are new and hadn't seen Star Citizen 3.0's launch, we used to count ourselves lucky if we got 15 minutes of uninterrupted gameplay without a 30k. Getting 30k'd right now in Star Citizen, generally it seems to take me anywhere from an hour and a half, and compared to the 3.0 release, that is, a lot of difference. And the game is, of course, vastly more complex than it was in 3.0. I mean, in 3.0, we still only had Crusader. That's it. We only had Crusader, Daymar, Yella, and Chelin, and I think Delamar was there, but it was a little bit further out, or Delamar might have come a little bit later. It's been a long time. We've been playing the 3.0 series of patches since 2018, 40 years and counting. It's sad to say that it's not new, and it's not to mean that you shouldn't feel disappointed or even a little bitter about this stuff, because it's one thing to say honestly, look, this is going to be a rough launch and it's going to be challenging for a while to play the game, and it's another to just put out a whole bunch of promo films and YouTube videos and trailers and be like, oh yeah, man, this is going to be great, 3.18, playable now, playable being in air quotes. But I mean, that is a little bit scummy on CIG's behalf, but I mean, if you've been around CIG long enough, you know that CIG is kind of like the pretty idiot. It looks good from range, but when you meet them in person, you're just like, oh. When you kind of see how they behave, you go, oh no, you're a little special. You're a different kind of person. And you get used to it. A lot of us want Star Citizen to be a good thing, and a lot of us want Star Citizen to be a good game. But the truth of it is it's going to be a difficult journey. Now, I've seen some people in the past certainly try to blow off wipes that CIG makes as, not all that bad, or it's not that big a deal. It is from a certain perspective, because remember, we are playing an MMORPG. We're not playing your typical survival game like Conan Exiles, where, you're playing on somebody's server, and then after a few months they say, okay, we're going to wipe the server, clear up a whole bunch of junk. And you might even greet it with a little bit of relief, like, oh, hey, yeah, I'm losing my castle and all my thralls and whatnot, but no big deal, because I've wanted to build a new castle with a different style over here. I wanted to build a waterborne city over there with canals and everything, and I really wanted to get into that project. It is disappointing, and it is certainly rough, but Star Citizen isn't that type of game, so you can't really excuse it that way. You can't really just say, oh, it's just like any other survival game, because even though Star Citizen has survival elements, it is certainly not structured or built around that kind of idea. An MMORPG like Star Citizen, which this game really is it's about constant progression, constant forward motion. And while we might certainly get excited about persistent entity streaming, the most important persistence, the persistence of greatest import to us is the persistence of character, the persistence of progression, the persistence of meaning of gameplay, the ability to acquire things in game and keep them, And I've often said that one of the things CIG should be doing is almost like having seasonal rewards or something like that. When you're playing the game, there should be things that for doing things in the game that you should earn. Now, we've had masks before and things like that, but there should be wider gameplay stuff like, hunt down X amount of bounties and you get a badge, or you get a gun or something like that, just to give a little bit more reward. And this is kind of where CIG kind of falls short, because they never really think of these things, and unfortunately that it leads to this feeling of continuous loss from wipe to wipe to wipe. Now, I'm not saying it has to be that your money has to stay or your reputations have to stay, but there should be little things that we earn in each patch of the cycle as we play the game that get permanently awarded to our accounts. In the same way that as a subscriber you get rewards every month, little trinkets, little doodads, little knickknacks or whatnots, there should be rewards like that that you can earn in game. And this would really lessen the blow. It would give gameplay some meaning, and that is really what Star Citizen desperately needs right now, is meaning to gameplay. It would seriously make wipes so much easier, but the problem is that for whatever reason, CIG just seemingly, I can't believe that they're unaware of it, but they just simply they never think of it. It's almost, I mean, it would sound like kind of a dark thing to say in regards to CIG, but it's almost like CIG kind of treats the community to a certain degree as like a little bit of an afterthought. It's like, we got to get this done. We got to get this done. What about for the people playing our game who pledged to our game? We'll do something if they're a subscriber. And to me, that's kind of crappy. And they should really step these sort of things up. It really does add a lot of reward, even when it's just the silliest little things. It can be something that stands out, just a little bit, a different kind of helmet or something like that, that makes it fun to engage with the game and try to unlock things. And it makes you feel like you're doing something for a reason and going in a certain direction. And that's what we desperately need more than anything. I understand if CIG needs to wipe 10, 12, 15 more times between now and getting to a point where they say no more wipes. But the truth of it is that until there is some type of feeling of progression, until there is some type of meaning to the gameplay that we have beyond simply providing testing data for CIG, they're always going to face this. And they just seemingly don't really clue in on that ever. I was about to start pursuing rep because I wanted to do, getting a bounty hunting level up to a certain point so that I could actually go out and use the reclaimer as the battle claimer, sort of, and use it to fight enemy ships with my friends and then basically salvage them after destroying them. And even going into 319, that looked really good. But more important than that, is the fact that gameplay needs to have meaning attached to it. It really does. And there's it's perfectly fine to be mad at CIG, but be mad at them for the right reasons. And the fact of it is that for this thing to continue, with all the wipes that are going to come, and there are going to be multiple wipes beyond just what we're talking about here. There are going to be. You see all the exploits. You see what people are doing. You see all these people at Brio's Breaker Yard, and you're like, what are they doing? Yeah. Don't lie. You know exactly what they're doing. right? It doesn't take a genius to figure out, oh, why are all of a sudden all these players over here? Why are all these players over there? There's an exploit. Someone's figured something out and they're making a crap load of money. And CIG is going to have to plug a lot of plug a lot of holes. And it's a good thing that people find these exploits and literally exploit them, because it helps show CIG, where the holes in their design are and how to better anticipate this sort of stuff in the future, and not to just go, oh, we didn't know people were going to do that. Of course they were. It's a good thing, so for CIG, gameplay totally has meaning and totally has value, but they have to realize that gameplay for the player has to have that value too. And so I understand if CIG needs to wipe the servers, but they have to attach some type of meaning or value to gameplay. Persistent. Not, well, you get it for the next patch. No, for good. You gotta look at this, and if you want to say, oh, well, we don't want you to be able to earn chips and then have them for good, fine. But there's got to be certain things in the game that we can earn. Whether it's, giant crates of ammunition for our weapons, or the ability to, stash and store guns, which really have no meaning in the universe, realistically, because you can change the stats up and down. It doesn't change the fact if we have 10 or 50 of them. And, in the end, the loop is CIG needs testing data to produce the game. The players need a reason to play the game, beyond just kind of getting their legs swept out from underneath them every few months or every 10 months or every year. There has to be a permanent, persistent value to gameplay. And that is the one area that CIG is desperately lacking in. And so, if the community wants to be angry at CIG, absolutely be angry, but, point them in the right direction. The problem with CIG is that they're very much focused on, oh, we got to get Squadron 42 out the door. Oh, we got to do this. Oh, we got to do that. No. But there's some stuff that you got to do for us. Because no matter how much a CIG employee who might watch this video might roll their eyes at this statement, you are eating at the table that we provided. And I don't think it's too much to ask that, there's a few skins or a few helmets in every patch that we can go out and earn that are permanently attached to our account. That's not a big ask. That's not heavy lifting for you. And considering the amount of money that you've made off of us, I think it's kind of fair.
Thank you for watching. So if you want to keep up with the latest and greatest in Star Citizen and Squadron 42's development, please follow us on our social media channels. See you soon.